We've got less than 100 minutes, Harlow, really, for some very key questions to be answered. Yes, we know that on paper the Syrian government has said yes to this deal, backed up by Moscow, and we know that the High Negotiating Committee, currently in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, has said politically, yes, they'll go along with it, as will 97 opposition groups, many of whom are armed, including Jaish al-Islam, a pretty big rebel group in the south of Syria. We don't know the position of some other very important rebel groups too. And in fact, one of them, Ahrar al-Sham, put out a video recently in which they had supporters saying maybe the truce wasn't a particularly good idea. We do know very clearly that ISIS were never part of this deal in the first place, and that the Nusra Front, the face of al-Qaeda in Syria, have had their leader today come forward and say, Syrians, do not be deceived by this trick by America and the West. It's a way of trying to get you under regime control again, them effectively putting themselves forward as being the defenders of the Syrian Sunnis who've been really at the brunt of repression of a regime effectively repressing a Sunni insurgency over the past 5 years or so. One big important issue, though, Harlow, which is going to be very hard to bridge, is the basic idea of the geography or whether ceasefire may apply. You may see just now a map released by Russian state media, RIA Novosti, which they said was sourced from information from the Russian Ministry of Defense and the Kremlin. Now, those tiny areas of bright yellow with a red border around them are the 6 areas where they believe the ceasefire actually will be applied. Now, that's staggeringly small territory compared to what you may imagine if a broad cessation of hostilities comes across an entire country. It's just those areas, according to this map. Now, that may not be what occurs tactically on the ground, but it's feeding suspicion that perhaps the Russians have a clearer goal with the regime of where they wish to target. And, of course, potentially they have a broader definition of who they consider to be terrorists in the hours ahead. But all of this, coupled with the possibility that some rebel groups don't want to go along with it, is leading to uncertainty in the closing hours. We understand that the UN Security Council was supposed about 20 minutes ago to sit down and begin debating endorsing this whole ceasefire. There are reports suggesting there may be a delay there. We're down to the closing minutes, Harlow, and this all should have been decided by noon today, so it isn't looking good.